ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. So we are starting with chapter number 10. So basically until now Suta Goswami was answering the few of the questions, and he was preparing like in from the last two chapters. He was from chapter number 8. He was preparing the answer. He was preparing the scenario or the situation for the appearance of Parikshit Maharaj. Hmm. So, and in that, while while preparing, like giving the like nice introductory, like the situation, while describing the situation that led to the the describing how Parikshit Maharaj appeared, or Krishna Sutta Goswami started describing about different thing about Bhishma Dev's, like Queen Kunti prayers, Bhishma Dev's past, like addressing Yudhishthir Maharaj, no, and also how mm, uh, then Krishna started departing to Dwaraka. So until now, Krishna was after Kurukshetra war. There is a lot of war, lot of killing happened in the family of Kurus, means the Pandavas and Kauravas also. So in order to console them, in order to console, especially console his own sister Subhadra Devi, who lost her own son, like Abhimanyu, he stayed with them for some time. Krishna, this is the nature of Krishna's Bhaktavasara nature. So he stayed with them, and he consoled Yudhishthir Maharaj, and Yudhishthir Maharaj performed 3 horse sacrifices and everything. And he also, in the meanwhile, when some danger came, he protected Parikshit Maharaj from Ashwatthama's Brahmastra and everything. And after that, finally, he decided to depart for Dwaraka, because in Dwaraka there are so many devotees waiting for him. There are like a lot of families, and his own men, his own parents are in the separation from him. So he actually then decided to go for Dwaraka. So then Sutta Goswami describes this situation how Krishna departed, how Krishna left for Dwaraka from Hastinapur, and how all the Pandavas treated him, how what was their mood, how they are feeling the separation. That is nicely described here. So after satisfying Yudhishthir Maharaj, Krishna started to Dwaraka, and then this chapter is about Vipralamba. Vipralamba means the feelings of separation of devotees who are in Dwaraka, the Pandavas, the Kunti, the Subhadra, and other all the ladies, Gandhari, and all the devotees in Hastinapur. They are all feeling separation. They will be feeling separation because Lord is living, and Sudha Goswami nicely describes all of them in brief or in detail. Okay, and in the next chapter it deals with Sambhoga, means reunion. Hmm. Krishna was here in Hastinapur for so long, and the devotees in Dwarka were in the feeling of separation until now. How the reunion of devotees and the Supreme Lord took place, that will be described in the next chapter. That is Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. So, in this chapter, we will be discussing how, like Sutta Goswami will be saying about how Yudhishthir Maharaj ruled the kingdom, and how Krishna gets ready to depart, and he highlight of this chapter is the talk between the talk of ladies of Hastinapur, means like Now you see, like in olden days, all there are no phones, nothing. So all the ladies or gents, they used to gather in the evenings, and like there's some discussions. Some most of the time spiritual discussions. They call harikatha, something like that. They gather in that parties or just uh, unofficial meetings, meeting on in the corridors of their own homes, meeting their talking to their neighbors like that. So that talk was highlighted by Sutta Goswami. Like Sutta Goswami, like he's a well-known renunciate, and he's addressing to the great sages of that time. Mm. And he is talking about ladies' conversation. What, how important it will be, because Krishna is involved in that conversation. Okay, and now and also describes how Lord Krishna departed. So this shows like now how the Vedic culture, no? like if you see the cultural differences nowadays, one of the devotee, he was from Germany. He was he went to visit Iskon temple in Switzerland, and he developed nice friendly relationship with another devotee there, the Switzerland brahmachari, and that Switzerland brahmachari's mother, she became sick, and this devotee from Germany, he knows him, and he knows his mother also. Means they become good friends, and then so when that the devotee from Germany, he heard that the his friend's mother is sick. He told, oh, like you should, like, and she got admitted into hospital. And this devotee from Germany, in Germany, the culture is like, when somebody is sick, the like in India also we have the culture, right? If somebody is sick in the hospital, all the relatives, all the friends will come to see you, how you are doing, like that. So that, and they will bring some fruits and gifts like that. Okay, so it is like a way of culture. It is showing that we are there for you, or we are concerned for you, like that. So this devotee from Germany, he thought it would be nice that he goes and visits and see how she is doing. She might be needing any help, like that. So that this devotee from Germany, he asked that uh, the devotee whose mother was admitted in the hospital, shall we go to see your mother in the hospital? He said that. And that devotee said, oh, no, no, she's already taken care. No, we have nice health plan, and no, she'll be nicely taken care in the hospital. We don't she doesn't need us, and we can just carry on with our own business. But he felt concerned. He felt like, it will be nice to see her in the hospital and convey that if she needs any help from our side, like that. So even if that Switzerland brahmachari said that it's not required, this devotee, I think it's Switzerland, Holland, I don't know. So, and that devotee, he went to the devotee from Germany. He went to the hospital, and when the when that Mataji, who was admitted in the hospital, when she saw this German devotee, like who came to see her, she was surprised, and she said, "What are you doing here? Why are you here?" Like that. And he was, yeah, she addressed him as if she has done something which is not done usually. Means it is a cultural shock for her, and cultural shock for him also, because it's a natural casual thing to see some close relative is admitted in the hospital, to go and see her, and uh, to inquire about their well-beings, or if they need any help. That that interaction is there. Okay, that is a common practice in many of the countries, but there it was not heard of, because it is so, the relationships are so impersonal, that they just have the health plan, and they just paid money for their insurance or something, and that all the doctors and nurses will take care of him and take care of her, and he can just, you don't have to go and check up with her also. Even if in worst case, if she passes also, then he might get some phone call that your mother passed away, please come and collect your body. So such impersonal relationships are there. So, but the Vedic culture is very personal. Means it is like it is concerned with everything. When a guest comes, we have to, when as soon as we see any guest coming at the entrance, we go and welcome him, and we actually sit with him, spend time with him or her, and then we do all the things that are required. And at the and when they are we see to the we see that they are comfortably situated. They are all their needs are taken care. And then when they are leaving, we see them off until the entrance, or at least to the vehicle, or at least to the entrance. Okay, that is the actual custom, or this is actual culture of Vedic civilization. Means it shows that we are valuing your association, and so going or seeing off to until the door or until the vehicle is conveys that we are valuing your association, we are going to miss your association. And it gives a nice uh, what do you call, wanted feeling, like no, what do you call, like loud feeling to the guest or a person who is departing. So, and in this chapter, Sutta Goswami will be explaining how the Pandavas will uh, uh, send off, like how they uh, behaved when Krishna is departing from Hastinapur. It's not like Krishna just took his bags and then, no, it's not like that. So the like especially we should learn from these chapters is how one should respect a devotee when he is leaving. That is the way. So now we shall enter into the chapter. So in this chapter, how Krishna departs from Hastinapur and to for Dwaraka, and discussion is mentioned here. Okay. So in the first verse of this chapter, the sages of Naimisharanya, they inquire about how Yudhishthir Maharaj has ruled after getting the kingdom. Hmm. Actually, Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was not inclined to participate in Kurukshetra war. Hmm. He tried his best. He negotiated. He was actually is ready to give up his entire kingdom in exchange of just 5 villages for 5 Pandavas, because they are Kshatriya, they should be ruling. And so that Yudhishthira Maharaj said, why to unnecessarily fight the war of Kurukshetra, which involves a lot of loss of their own relatives. So he was ready to that extent. And no, like that was Krishna's proposal. And if Krishna says something like that, and Yudhishthira Maharaj, Krishna was fully confident that Yudhishthira Maharaj will agree for that. But despite Yudhishthira Maharaj's intention or desire, this Kurukshetra war took place. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is in the position of the king, and he has to do his dharma. So dharma means like in the Vedic culture, we do everything with respect to dharma. So if we previously we discussed, right, how we treat the guest. So in the Vedic culture, it is called Atithi Devo Bhava, means um, the guest is equivalent to God when he comes to our home. So now in this case, in this chapter, it is God himself is the guest. So how the devotees dealt with it. Okay, we'll discuss it. And so now when we come to this question, could put forth by sages, how Yudhishthir Maharaj, after getting the kingdom, how he ruled the Hastinapur, how he ruled his subjects. Okay. So basically, why the sages ask, because sages know that Yudhishthira Maharaj is a dharmic person, he is the Dharmaraj himself. So he would not enjoy like an ordinary common person who, after a long time gets some opulences. If some person who is struggling through in the life for rupees and pennies, and he suddenly gets unlimited riches, and there is a great deal of chance that he will spend this money lavishly for sense enjoyment, and this unexpected wealth. There are some situations like unexpected health can drive a person crazy. Mm. So, but in the case of Yudhishthir Maharaj, they would like to know, or so that people in general will know how to handle the situations in life. Not only the situations which are, uh, no, which are like reversals, but also some uh, unexpected opulences or expected opulences also. Because if you see the life of many devotees, like if you see like life of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada used to say, Krishna has tested me. First, he took everything from me and tested me. Now he gave so much of opulence and he's testing me now. Mm. Because when Prabhupada was in India, when his business was at loss and his store was robbed by his own employees, then Krishna, Prabhupada maintained his Krishna consciousness. He didn't go against why Krishna is not protecting me like that. Okay. And again, when Srila Prabhupada was struggling to distribute books and to maintain his own life and accomplish his Guru Maharaj Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur's instructions to go back to go to America to preach, in that he has tolerated many difficulties. Mm. So that is the time of actually Srila Prabhupada, that is the time, like in order to make a meal or in order to cook some prasadam or in order to offer some bhoga to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada has to go to the streets and sell the books that he has brought with him from India, like Srimad Bhagavatam or some books like that. He has to sell for a few of the dollars so that he can prepare meal that day. He actually went through such a difficult situations. So you know, Krishna is he is Jagatpati. He is the owner of everything. If he wanted, he would have directly, gave a flight ticket to Srila Prabhupada from India to here, and he would have arranged uh, nice esteemed class of people to hear from him. He would have easily arranged the situations like that. But Krishna tests his devotees, and when these tests will come in the lives of devotees, that will glorify the qualities in the devotee. Hmm? Bhakti Swami says, right, the when we wanted to know what is actually is in that person, we have to see how that person behaves in a situation that crushes him. No? Like he says, if you crush a if you crush a orange, what will come out? Orange juice will come out. Means the essence will come out. If you crush any juicy fruit, then the juice of that fruit will come out. Means what is there in that fruit will come out. In the same way, when crushing situations come to us, they will bring about the qualities that are under within us. No? We might have anger, we might have arrogance, envy. When some difficult situation, when not difficult, it is like some heavy situations. Like it is, Mara says, it is like crushing situations. When they come, they will bring what is there within us, or they will transform our life, or so that we can make a greater spiritual advancement in that scenario or in that situations. So Srila Prabhupada also tolerated all those situations. And when he established ISKCON, and ISKCON becomes popular, and he has hundreds of temples all over the world, and he has thousands of disciples who are waiting for Srila Prabhupada's order or instruction. Then Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna is testing me now by giving me so much of opulences. So, and Prabhupada said, I passed both the tests because I maintain my Krishna consciousness. I'm stable. I'm not agitated. I didn't get depressed when the situations are depressing, and I didn't get elated when the things are going well. Hmm. So that is the thing. Okay. Now, now the sages of Naimisharanya, they also wanted to hear from Sutta Goswami how Yudhishthir Maharaj has ruled the kingdom. So Suta Goswami says Yudhishthira Maharaj describes about how Yudhishthira Maharaj has ruled. Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled the kingdom by the instructions of Bhishma Dev and following the instructions of Krishna also. So he, like even though Yudhishthira Maharaj is Dharmaraj himself, he is one of Mahajan, because Yama Dharmaraj is one of the Mahajan. Yudhishthira Maharaj is also expansion of Yama Dharmaraj. Okay, so and still he took the instructions from Bhishma Dev and he followed those instructions. He Bhishma Dev instructions about various dharmas, right? Raja Dharma, the Sri Dharma, Bhagavad Dharma, like that. He described about many dharmas. So a ruler, a king should have the knowledge about what is dharma and what is adharma, so that he can give the proper judgment. So Yudhishthira Maharaj has ruled the kingdom in such a way, following the instructions of Bhishma Dev and following the instructions of Krishna himself. And like when a ruler is acting according to the instructions of Krishna or acting to please Krishna, then everything in the, either it be family or either it be kingdom, either it be any organization, everything will be so nice, very smooth, because everything will because when Krishna is pleased, and it will when Krishna is pleased, it will be pleasing for everybody. So uh, the natural resources also in the kingdom of Yudhishthira Maharaj, the rain is more like rained sufficiently, and earth produces earth gave nice productions of crops, minerals, and also the cows, they actually moistened the grazing grasslands with their milk. Means the milk supply was so much of so much excess that they were moistening the uh, uh, grounds. Okay, and the rivers and oceans and hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their taxes. Taxes means they they actually gave nice supplies to the king. Hmm. And in Yudhishthira Maharaj's kingdom, everyone is happy. Just like in Ramaraja, whenever we want to say some ruler or some rule or some state is prospering, or according to everything is peaceful and religious and with no difficulties, then it is said, like we compare that to Ramaraja. Means when Lord Ram was ruling the kingdom, ruling the earthly planet, his his kingdom was so peaceful and so dharmic. All the citizens are so dharmic. uh, like there are some indications according to scriptures also. Just like if uh, everybody's mind will be peaceful, they don't do any heinous crimes, and also their life expectancy, they live for long period of time, and no, like no junior or no like sons won't pass away in, like sons won't die before fathers, like that. Okay, so like there are many what do you call um, standards that are mentioned in the scriptures to ascertain how the ruler is ruling his kingdom. So in the Yudhishthira kingdom also, there are no mental agonies, no diseases, and no excessive heat or cold. Everything was pleasant, everything was uh, as per requirement. Because when the Krishna is pleased, then the Devatas will be pleased. When Devatas will be pleased, then the elements they are controlling, like Agnidev controls heat, or Suryadev controls heat, and Indra controls the rains, and like when these Devatas are also pleased, then they will uh, they will provide the pleasing situation for the citizens also, or the public in general. So and that's how Sutta Goswami explains about the kingdom of the rule of Yudhishthira Maharaj. It means that Yudhishthira Maharaj is ruling according to the principles of Dharma. What is Dharma? Dharma to Sakshat Bhagavad Pranitam. Whatever is said by Krishna is Dharma. So nowadays we realize what is Dharma by reading scriptures like Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and also listening from sadhus and listening from Guru. So that's how Yudhishthira Maharaj also following the instructions of Bhishma Dev and Yudhishthira Krishna, he was ruling his kingdom nicely. So when everything is settled, when everyone is happy and everyone is consoled properly, then Yudhishthira Maharaj, like Krishna, decided to go back to the Dwaraka, which is where here the family of Krishna or the relatives of Krishna are there. So now this situation, is little bit difficult for the Pandavas because in the Sutta Goswami says like it like once a devotee, in the quotes verse number 11 and 12, he says the intelligent the unbearable separation. He says the intelligent and the person who are intelligent, free from bad association, cannot give up hearing Lord's glories, even heard them only once. How then could Pandavas, who are intimately absorbed in Krishna, will, while seeing, touching, and conversing, and sleeping, sitting, and eating with him, tolerate separation from him? Hmm? So, satsangat mukta dussanga means he says like a person when he is free from bad association, and he just hears Krishna's glories once, he will not be able to give up hearing about Krishna. Hmm? So we have to think about ourselves, because if you are not having good attraction for hearing Krishna Katha, means we might be in some bad association. Hmm? So when our when a person is not able to give up hearing about Krishna, even just heard at least once, then what to speak of the Pandavas, who like just by even a sincere devotee cannot give up even hearing also. Means we never had any personal association with Krishna. Mm, but in the case of Pandavas has very intimate association with Krishna. They were with Krishna, they were eating with Krishna, they were sitting and conversing with Krishna. So such it is unbearable for the Pandavas uh, to to have that feeling of separation from Krishna. So when they heard that Krishna was willing to go to Dwaraka, all their hearts melted in affection. They looked upon him with unblinking eyes, and they moved in perplexity. When Krishna, like when Krishna started going away from Dwaraka, from Hastinapur. Hmm? So, so Krishna is naturally attractive for all living beings. Hmm? Once the relationship with Krishna is slightly revived, the conditioned soul becomes mad after the association of Krishna, or Krishna's devotee, or spiritual master. So when we are free from the bad association, when we are free from contaminations, and if we get little bit of association of Krishna or Krishna's devotees, we get so much addicted to that association. I'm saying Krishna's devotee because it is more applicable in our scenario. Okay, so but here in this case for the Pandavas, it is directly Krishna himself. Okay, so when Krishna took permission from all the elders, and when he started leaving, and all the devotees were perplexed. They don't know what to do. They cannot stop Krishna because Krishna had stayed enough number of days, but at the same time they cannot tolerate the separation of Krishna. So they just like if something is happening which we don't like, and but we cannot stop it or we cannot do anything about it. So we'll do something, we'll just move around, or we'll be uh, perplexed. Now it is said here that they looked upon him when Krishna is leaving with unblinking eyes and moved in perplexity. So, and if you see now, like when it comes to the Pandavas, and when it comes to the uh, men, they are okay with the kind of emotions. Okay, that means they even though when their emotions are stirred up, they will be able to tolerate it. They will be able to contain their emotions and show pleasantness outside externally, even though internally they are a little bit disturbed also. Mm. But in the case of ladies, women, it is very difficult for them, because women by nature were very sensitive. Mm. So like the women of Hastinapur, they they blocked their tears, mm, caused by the anxiety and affection for Krishna, because they consider, which they consider might be inauspicious at the time of departure, because in our Vedic culture it is also said, right, if somebody is leaving, then we should not cry, because then they will have, if we cry, then it will bring some inauspiciousness, means in their journey they may get into some trouble or something like that. So they don't want to be the cause of for any inauspiciousness to Krishna. Mm. Krishna can never Krishna, nothing can affect Krishna, but it is the affection of their devotees, not to that caring nature towards Krishna, that they don't want to do anything such that which may cause inauspiciousness to Krishna in his journey. So they try to block their tears. Mm, and then when Krishna was leaving, mm, as the Lord was departing, different types of musical instruments were sounded to show him honor. Okay, the Kuru women climbed on the roofs and roofs of the palace to see Krishna, and smiling with affection and shyness, they showered the flowers upon him. Hmm. At the time, Arjuna held up a well-decorated white umbrella for his dear friend. Okay, and the Brahmanas could be heard uttering benedictions, which are befitting to the Lord who is absolute. Sorry, which are unbefitting to the Lord who is absolute, but also befitting for him, having now taken the role of human being. So when Krishna is leaving, the all these instruments were sounding up, and Kuru women, they actually, like it is said that in the Indian Vedic culture, women should not go into the men's circle. Mm. So when Krishna is departing, there are a lot of men there, right? Like Arjuna, Pandavas are there, and the soldiers are there, and the chariot drivers, and all the different kinds of men are there. So a a ladies will not go into the men to greet Krishna. So what they did, they actually climbed on the rooftops of the building, and they started showering flowers upon Krishna to show their gratitude, or show their bhakti. And at the time, Arjuna held up an umbrella, because it's a sign of respect. It's a sign of uh, uh, treating a respectable person. Okay, and now like the finally the Brahmanas, they started giving some benediction to Krishna. Krishna's name is Varadaraj. He's the one who gives all benediction to everybody, and these Brahmanas are giving some blessings to Krishna. And now Suta Goswami says, which are unbefitting to Krishna, who is the supreme absolute truth. Because if we say, oh, Yashashvi Bhava, Ayushman Bhava, that kind of benedictions does not apply to Krishna, because he is full in opulences, he is full in, he is eternal, he is all opulent. And also says they are at the same time unbefitting and also but befitting, because now Krishna is playing the role of a uh, human being, mm, Gunatmana, in the role of human being. So because Krishna is in the role of a human being, for his welfare, Brahmanas were offering the benedictions. Now, when this situation is happening, then the ladies on the rooftops, they were discussing about the glories of Krishna. So why these discussions were so popular? Because hmm, when the ladies, the talks of Kuru women fully absorbed in Krishna were attractive to everyone's ears and minds, because more attractive than Vedic hymns. Okay, because why they are attractive, why they are so popular? Because it is the glorification of Krishna. The Vedas, no, Vedic hymns, they glorify Krishna sometimes directly and sometimes, most of the time, indirectly. Vedas are meant for the enjoyment of the conditioned soul, following the dharma, dharmic path. So Vedas are trigunatmaka. So, but the glorification of ladies of Hastinapur is very, like, Vedas glorify Krishna indirectly. But the ladies of Hastinapur, even though they are talking among themselves, just like now ladies talk, huh? So even though they are talking among themselves, but it involves the glorification of Krishna. It is more pleasing to Krishna because it is direct glorification. Hmm? So now, like, one ladies were talking how Krishna is the original Purusha, who alone existed before creation, and into whom all the jivas merge after annihilation. They are seeing Krishna in front of them, and they are saying, oh, this Krishna is the one who stays in the beginning of creation, and who stays at the even after the creation is gone. Means even after the annihilation of entire creation. So he manifested the scriptures, Shastakrit, and again desiring to give the names and forms to the jivas, place them under Prakriti, who empowered to recreate them. Hmm? So when jivas were sent into this material world, he gave the scriptures. Hmm? And also who he empowered the material energy, the Prakriti, to take care of the jivas. Okay, from him, under his guidance, everything is happening. And Lord's form is experienced by the great devotees in a purified, who are purified by intense bhakti, by controlling their senses and life here. So this Krishna, the actual darshan of Krishna can be taken only by a completely purified devotees through their intense bhakti. Hmm? Then only they will be will be able to actually uh, have the real darshan of Krishna or real association of Krishna after we purify ourselves through intense sadhana, intense bhakti. Hmm? So, like, Krishna may be in front of us, Krishna may be standing in front of us in the form of deity, but unless our eyes are anointed with the love of that devotional love, we cannot appreciate the Krishna bhakti or Krishna's form, Krishna's name, Krishna's katha. Mm. So that thing is required. The purity of our heart is plays a main role. Purity of our mind plays a main role to appreciate the beauty of Krishna. So these Hastinapur ladies are discussing, like, the great sages, they do a lot of tapasya to have the association, to purify themselves so that they can have the real darshan of Krishna. Okay, and his excellence pastimes are described in the confidential parts of the Vedic literature by his great devotees. And he and it is he only who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world, but remains unaffected. So if you see the Purusha Sukta prayers, it is the same thing, like how Krishna is the maintainer. Krishna is living as a Paramatma within the heart, and Krishna says before creation, Krishna annihilates maintains and annihilates the creation. The same thing, but there when Vedic hymns are sung by the Brahmanas, they do as if, like, it's a ritual. But now here the Hastinapur ladies are talking the same subject matters with great affection and love towards Krishna. And it is very pleasing to Krishna. And Krishna is hearing everything what they are talking and acknowledge their conversation with a nice smile towards them. So when there is irresponsible kings ruling ruling by adharma, he manifests his transcendental forms as necessary for that age. So even though Krishna is the unborn, but still, in order to establish dharma, when there is irreligious kings, then Krishna will take the suitable incarnation based on the age, time, place, and circumstance. Means in Satyayuga he came as Narsinga Dev, he came as Vaman Dev, he came as in the Kurma avatar, when the earth was submerged in the ocean to lift the earth from the ocean, and then he came as Rama in the Treta Yuga, and now in this Dwapar Yuga he came as Krishna. Okay, so he always, in this way he always displays his supreme power, truth, and pleasing words, and mercy, and wonderful activities. So, and they say how supremely praiseworthy is the Edu dynasty, and how virtuous is Mathura, where Sriyapati has his birth and wandered in his childhood. So now the ladies of Hastinapur, or the all the devotees in Hastinapur, are going to be bereft of the personal association of Krishna. They will be missing Krishna's association. That's why uh, they were glorifying the fortunate position of the Dwarkavasis and Mathuravasis, where Krishna lived there personally, and they give them full association. They can see Krishna, they can actually experience Krishna's association. Hmm? One minute, I will come. So, and now they are saying like Dwaraka is more glorious than heavens because presence of Krishna. And the fame of earth, because Dwarka is there on earth, the earth is now more greater than even heavenly planets because there is no Krishna. Because the value of anything in the according to Vedic scriptures is how closely it is to Krishna. Because if you see the opulence of the Patal Loka are more than the heavenly planets, and but why the Patal Loka or the Lokas underneath the Bhuloka are considered to be degraded places? Because the ability to for the living entities there to perform bhakti or to become self-realized or to proceed to the higher level is very difficult for them. They will be more in the mode of ignorance most of the time. That's why the living entities like snakes and everything will stay in the below the uh, in underneath the Bhuloka. Okay, so in this case, as soon as something which comes in connection with Krishna, it will take the position of the absolute, which is the nature of Krishna. Okay, so that's how then Bhuloka has surpassed the heavenly planet because of presence of Dwaraka. And these ladies also talks about how Krishna has kidnapped the wives. Wives are very fortunate. They actually Krishna never leaves in any wife's home, because Krishna, as soon as he goes, like Krishna has 16,108 wives, and each wife has separate palace, and Krishna stays in each palace all the time, because there is Krishna can expand it into any number of forms as he desires. And so that all the devotees, all his family members can get his association. So in that way Krishna was always with the wives of the uh, wives, with his wives and children. Okay, and Lord's reciprocation, while ladies are talking like this, Lord Krishna, accepting their greetings and smiling, glanced and departed. Means Krishna smilingly glanced at them, acknowledging their conversation, acknowledging their appreciation, or acknowledging their offerings, and then smiled at them, and then he left. Okay. So then, when the Lord left the city of Hastinapur, the Pandavas still followed along with Krishna for considerable amount of distance, and Pandavas accompanied out of affection. Yudhishthira Maharaj arranged 4 divisions of defense accompanying Krishna. Means Krishna is a protector of everybody, and Krishna doesn't need any of these external protection for him, because he knows about everything, and he is a protector of everybody. And who can protect him? Who can guard him? So, but out of affection, Yudhishthira Maharaj has arranged 4 divisions of armies to protect, for the protection of Krishna, so that uh, he can have nice protection again around him. Okay, and then overwhelmed by immense separation, and the Pandavas accompanied Lord Krishna for a considerable distance. And now, like we previously discussed, right? How when we value a guest, we when the guest is leaving, we see him off until the gate or until his vehicle, like that. Some persons, they actually go to the, like, some places like airport and drop him, and then that is the culture. So, but in the case of Yudhishthir Maharaj and the Pandavas, they are following Krishna. They are going along with Krishna only. Yeah, because they are not able to tolerate the separation from Krishna. So, but finally Krishna has to stop in the middle, and then he actually persuaded them. Lord persuaded them to return back with, while he proceeded towards Dwaraka. So that way, then Lord himself had to intervene and then say, okay, now you go back. You don't have to follow me like that. And then he sends that Yudhishthira Maharaj and all the Pandavas back, because Yudhishthira Maharaj is elder to Pandava, no? And Yudhishthira Maharaj Krishna used to respect Yudhishthira Maharaj. And so now Yudhishthira Maharaj, Krishna himself has to come down and then sends them back to carry on their duties. Okay, and then Lord passes through various provinces like Kalinga, Panchala, and reached Dwaraka. And wherever, like, he was welcomed and worshipped at these places, and suspended his journey each evening to perform evening rites. Even though Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, but he just wanted to set an example how to lead the human form of life. Because whatever a person leader do, the same way the others follow, right? The same way, when just in order to set an example, Krishna used to do all the evening rites, Sandhya Vandan and everything. So he used to stop periodically and used to do all these things, and he used to take calls, and the nearby kingdom or nearby kings used to come and arrange everything for Krishna. Okay, nicely, so that they get the chance to worship him. So that way. Then Krishna uh, reached Dwaraka, and then in the next chapter we'll discuss how the Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka means. Right now we are experiencing how devotees were uh, in the feeling of separation from Krishna when he's leaving, and the next chapter we'll be discussing how the devotees of Dwaraka uh, felt, and how they treated, how they uh, what how they follow different formalities to welcome Krishna. That we'll be discussing. So that is all for today. We can discuss if you have any questions or comments. Hare Krishna, any questions or comments?
Prabhuji, చిన్న డౌట్.
Yes, Mataji.
టెక్స్ట్ 8 లో యాక్చువల్ గా లార్డ్ ఆఫర్డ్ హిస్ రెస్పెక్ట్స్ టు మహారాజ్ యుధిష్ఠర్ బై బోయింగ్ డౌన్ అట్ హిస్ ఫీట్ అని ఉంది కదా.
Yes,
అంటే
ma'am.
లార్డ్ అంటే సూపర్ పర్సన్, జస్ట్ సుప్రీం పర్సనాలిటీ ఆఫ్ గాడ్ హెడ్ అని తెలుసు కదా యుధిష్ఠర్ మహారాజ్ కి. ఆయన ఎందుకు ఆయన అట్లా అంటే లార్డ్ పెడుతుంటే ఆయన ఎట్లా ఒప్పుకున్నారు అన్నది.
So that is actually, it's no, Yudhishthira Maharaj knows that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Mhm.
but at the same time, Krishna is playing the role of subordinate position to Yudhishthira Maharaj, because Yudhishthira Maharaj is the king right now, and also he is elder in age. Like if you see, like Krishna and Arjuna are contemporaries, means of equal age.
Okay,
So
okay.
in that way, Yudhishthira Maharaj is elderly to Krishna in now, like if you see the calculate the age, but on the transcendent, on the physical level, it is younger to Krishna, but at the same time, Krishna is in the transcendental level. Krishna is Paramatma as Bhagavan. He is eldest among all. Even even uh, at the beginning of creation, even Brahmaji also younger than him.
Yeah, yes,
So,
Prabhu.
but still, only a dearest devotees can become relatives or friends to Krishna. So when Krishna is with the devotees, then Krishna would like to play that role. So if you see in a drama, sometimes a very respectable person will play a role of a menial servant, and a person who is
Mhm.
junior sometimes has to play the role of uh, or no, role of role in a respectable position. So in the when they are playing on the stage, then they will have to do the justice for those roles, right? Because we
Mhm.
cannot say
Yes.
you are subordinate to me, but how can you demand respect from me? Because it's a lila. It's a means Krishna knows everything, but knowingly Krishna offers respects to his devotees or respectable persons, and that person who is accepting these respects from Krishna also knows the position of Krishna, but at the same time, just as a formality, just as a set an example, they accept the uh, respects from Krishna, because it is for the pleasure of Krishna. Whatever pleases Krishna, that they have to do.
Okay, Prabhu.
But at the heart, Krishna is a uh, dedicated servant and devotee of Krishna, Yudhishthira
Mhm.
Maharaj. So but if Krishna likes me to be in that position of taking respect from him, then he will accept the respect from even from Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu.
Any more question? You can note down questions, Mataji or Prabhuji, like so that like we can have any discussion. Like when we are done with our question like session, we can discuss.
Sure, bro.
Any more question?
యాక్చువల్‌గా లాస్ట్ 9th చాప్టర్‌లో నిన్న మేము చదువుతున్నప్పుడు ఒక క్వెషన్ వచ్చింది ప్రభుజీ.
Yes, Mataji.
అంటే మనం జయంతి సెరమనీ చేస్తాం కదా!
Hmm.
సో,
Birthdays.
Yes,
బర్త్‌డే
appearance. Yeah, Jayanti Vardhanti. Yes.
హ్మ్. యాక్చువల్లీ ఏం రాసిందంటే పర్పోర్ట్‌లో అకార్డింగ్ టు ఆథరైజ్డ్ శాస్త్రాస్ సచ్ ఎ జయంతి సెరమనీ ఫర్ అన్ ఆర్డినరీ మ్యాన్ హౌఎవర్ ఎగ్జాల్టెడ్ హీ మే బి మెటీరియల్లీ ఈజ్ అన్ అఫెన్స్ టు ద లార్డ్ బికాస్ జయంతి ఈజ్ రిజర్వ్డ్ ఫర్ ద డే వెన్ ద లార్డ్ అపియర్స్ ఆన్ ద ఎర్త్ అని
Hmm.
చెప్పి ఉంది.
Hmm.
అంటే నాకు ఒక డౌట్, అంటే ఆర్డినరీ పీపుల్ కి అయితే అది అఫెన్స్ ప్రభు. కాకపోతే అంటే మన గురు మహారాజ్ కానీ మనం ప్రభుపాద వీళ్ళవి మనం చేస్తాం కదా, అపీరెన్స్ డే అవి చేస్తాం కదా, అది ఎట్లా వస్తది? అంటే ఇది ప్రభుపాద పర్పోర్టే కాబట్టి నాకు చాలా డౌట్ వచ్చింది ప్రభు.
ఎట్లా అంటే when it applies to Krishna, it also applies to his devotees. So we celebrate appearance day of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, appearance of Srila Prabhupada, or even like last week we celebrated the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada. So
Yes.
these are all very spiritually exalted moments,
Mhm.
because a great devotee coming down from the spiritual world to grace upon us, it's a mercy of the devotee. It's a causeless mercy of Krishna. Krishna is sending great devotee to here, so we celebrate that occasion. And when the devotee departs from this planet to go back to Krishna, when he
Mhm.
is when We celebrate disappearance day of also because the devotee is going back to Krishna. So we honor those days. But on mundane level, if a person is materialist, if a person is only a sense enjoyer, he only spends his life just like ordinary sense enjoyer, then such a kind of person, there is no significance of their birth or death, means, or any aspect of their life has no spiritual significance, means when something is pleasing to Krishna, then we actually join Krishna in
Mhm.
in celebrating that occasion. So a Krishna's appearance or Krishna's devotee's appearance is pleasing to Krishna, right? So we celebrate whatever is pleasing to Krishna and Krishna's devotees. But if something is not related to devotees or something is not related to Krishna, then it is a materialistic thing. So this materialistic thing will not be any, it's a waste of time. Like in basically, I never saw any birthday celebration in my home because like they don't consider what about like they don't consider that we are any exalted personalities to celebrate birthday. So they think like there is not a culture of celebrating birthdays, no, like no. That's why in ISKCON also we celebrate birthday of some devotees, but they don't celebrate in a mundane way. No, in the Western way, Western culture, they actually lit like a candle blow off karte hain na? They turn off the
Yeah.
blow the candles, right? That is a very inauspicious thing. This blowing the candle means sign of death. So you are celebrating your birthday by blowing the candles. So there is spiritual significance. There is spiritual value. There should be a spiritual value for everything we do in our life. That's how we dovetail our activities in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it is a waste of time and waste of uh, like it will only increase the false ego of the person who is celebrating that birthday.
Okay.
So but with respect to Krishna and Krishna's devotees, we should be very rejoiceful in celebrating. So because that's what, when we celebrate anything related to for Krishna, yeah, if we decorate Krishna very nicely, then we lose we lose the desire to decorate ourselves nicely. When we feed Krishna very quick and feed Krishna nicely, then we'll we don't enjoy, we don't feel like enjoying ourselves. We feel like we're giving more and more pleasure to Krishna. That's how our consciousness will get transformed and we become more and more Krishna consciousness. And that will improve our remembrance or longing for Krishna more and more.
Okay, Prash.
Okay. Any more questions?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. We'll end it here.
Prabhu, we are all done. Grindra Srimad Bhagavatam.
No, ఇంకో చాప్టర్ ఉంది.
Oh, okay.
No, Grindra Srimad Bhagavad Gita Prabhupada ki jai.